Another Black History Month episode of Out of the Fog. I'm your host, Laurabel Mba. On today's episode, I'm going to be joined by Dr. Sulaimon Giwa, Interim Dean of Social Work of Memorial University, and Pearl Ashibuogwu, who is the current owner and operator of Capearla Beauty Parlor. I can't wait for you guys to get a look into their lives and the issues they think are important. So sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Welcome back, everyone. I'm now joined by Dr. Sulaimon Giwa, professor at MUN and Interim Dean of Social Work. Professor, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me.
So I want to get a chance for our viewers to know who Dr. Giwa is. So if you don't mind letting them know who you are and what you do.
Okay, so as you mentioned, my name is Dr. Sulaimon Giwa, and I'm a faculty member in the School of Social Work at Memorial University. And I've been at the university since 2017. And it's been quite a sea change coming from Ontario, Gatineau, Quebec, moving to Newfoundland and Labrador. Just the process of adjustment has been quite a change. But it's something that I'm getting used to each and every day. And yeah, I'm with the university. Recently, I just took on the position of interim dean, and I assumed that role as a beginning of this year.
Okay.
And it's been a lot of work and a lot of administration, particularly given the potential for a strike at the university. So I've been really busy with that as well. So, but it's something that I'm enjoying doing. So. Yeah.
So I know there's a lot more to you than just being a professor and an interim dean, and I'm going to focus a little bit about that. Yeah. So you were recently nominated for Newfoundland Labrador Human Rights Award. Mm-hmm. What was that like for you?
It was amazing. I think that, being nominated, even though I didn't win the award, being nominated is something that I think speaks a lot to the hard work that I've been doing over the years. And I think that being recognized by a colleague, community member, I think, represents and signifies for me that I'm kind of doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing and I'm in the right place. So that matters to me. And I think really even beyond not winning the award, just the recognition that, my colleagues, people that I'm, surrounding myself with on a regular basis and doing work with, recognize the importance of the work that I'm doing. I think that, says a lot. And I'm happy for the winners. I think that they're doing incredible things within the community as well, too. But yeah, it was a pleasure to be involved in that process.
So tell me a little bit more about that work that you're doing within the community. Mm-hmm. What is it that you're advocating for that got you that nomination? Yeah,
so I do a lot of work within social justice. And when I say social justice, it's really, really broad, so. And I think it reflects the multiplicity of my own identity in terms of being a Nigerian-born Canadian transplant and being somebody who also identifies as being a member of the LGBTQ+ community as a gay Black man. And I'm also Muslim. So I think I wear different, hats in terms of my own identity, and I try to represent some of the issues that are central to who I am as a person. And those are some of the things that I'm doing within the community. So things related to anti-Black racism, so helping organizations and individuals who are committed to becoming anti-racist in their efforts, both on an individual level, but also organizationally. A lot of my work revolves around that. So I'm doing that work here in Newfoundland, but I'm also doing it, nationally as well too. There are different organizations nationally that are asking for me to give trainings here and there. So I enjoy doing that. I think it's a productive thing to be doing, particularly given where Newfoundland and Labrador is. I think we're sort of at a precipice where things is evolving. In 2017, I remember when I first landed here, and I could drive for like a long distance if I see like the next Black person.
Yeah.
And it's become so normalized now that I will go to Avalon Mall and I'm like, whoa, where did all these people come from? And it's amazing, right? Just to see how big and how grown the province is being, right? So I'm appreciative of that, and also the opportunity to be able to contribute to people's knowledge around what it means when we're talking about equity, diversity, and inclusion, and how that gets manifested within the policies and within everyday activities that we're doing on individual but also organizationally. So I'm happy to be part of that conversation and to be leading that kind of change. So yeah, I'm stoked.
So you talked a little bit about how you sit at a pivotal point in terms of intersectionality. As a Nigerian born, I happen to be Nigerian as well, Nigerian born man who is Black, Muslim, and gay. What is that like for you as an individual? What has that been like experience when one being in Nigeria? We know that's not a very gay friendly country, and then moving here and doing your work and coming out. How has that been for you?
Yeah, it's been a long road. I think that's probably a fair statement. It's been a long road, both in terms of like, coming to my own sense of identity. It was a struggle, particularly when I was, going through high school, middle school. The experiences there were very, very negative. And I think it also shaped my own sense of identity in terms of even how I relate to other Black people, just because of the profound negativity that I experienced when I was in high school and middle school. But I think, out of that struggle also emerged a sense of commitment to wanting to advance the causes of, what it means to be at that intersection of identities, because I'm sure that there are other Black people like myself who are sort of like, feeling the same kind of experiences, but looking for, looking for other people who are navigating those challenges in a way that is healthy, and they're kind of, looking for opportunity for themselves to be able to do that as well too. So being able to model that in terms of what it means to be, LGBTQ identified, to be Muslim, and to be also a Nigerian, being able to model that for, other people behind me, I think is something that I enjoy, and it's a privilege to be in that position to be able to do that. But yeah, it's been a long road. It's, even when you are in, the mainstream LGBTQI plus community, which is predominantly white, there's still challenges there. I know that, we're slowly making progress, but we're not where we need to be yet in terms of full inclusion. And that's work that continues, right? So some of the work that I'm doing here, being on different, LGBTQ plus community organizations and boards, I'm trying to, infuse that kind of, involvement and participation and conversation in those spaces. But there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of getting to where we need to be.
On that topic of the fact that the LGBTQ plus community isn't always as inclusive when it comes to racialized folks, what would you like to see happen? Like, I know we talked about it being more inclusive, but what does inclusivity actually mean in that space?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And honestly, it's a difficult one to answer. Some of the books that I've written are kind of try to address this issue. And it's difficult because I think depending on the context of where you're at, that's also going to change, influence the conversation that you're having in terms of what change looks like. Like if I'm writing in the context of like, in Ottawa or in Ontario as an example, just because of the diversity of that, the conversation changes a bit. But here in Newfoundland, Labrador, which is predominantly white, I think that, it's difficult to have that conversation without people feeling like, you're calling them out as being racist. But I think what I try to encourage in that conversation is to move beyond the individual kind of analysis of, what we're talking about, to think more about the structures and the systems and the ways in which the organization, the system of the culture of the community is actually structured, and how that makes it really difficult for people to feel a sense of inclusion, and particularly for people who are from away, how, that makes them really not feel a part of the community. And I think some of the things that we can begin to do as a community collectively is to think about what it means to be white and to be from here, and the privilege and the advantages that grants you just by the virtue of the fact that you are from here and you're also white. And how can we then leverage that understanding to be able to say, how can we create spaces that actually welcomes people, make them feel a sense of inclusion, and without tokenizing them, because at the end of the day, people don't necessarily want to feel like, they've been put on the spot. It's really more about changing the culture of the spaces that we are creating, so people feel a sense of a connection, they feel a sense of belonging. And through that belongingness, there's a desire and aspiration to actually want to contribute and move that community forward.
That's really impactful to hear. So the theme for Black History Month, there are two themes, both an American theme and a Canadian theme. The American theme is Black resistance, and the Canadian theme is Our Time, Our Stories. What do these themes mean for you, and is there any one that resonates particularly with you? Yeah,
both actually. Our Time, Our Story means a lot, particularly when you think about the, coming out of 2020 and everything that happened with George Floyd, the public execution of George Floyd. I think really sparked a lot of imaginations and activism and agitation, not just domestically, but globally, in terms of a desire and an aspiration from people for change in terms of both the way the systems interact with, Black communities. And I think, we are at a precipice where we are thinking about, what it means for us as Black people to collectively come together and actually have our voice be heard. It's so powerful, it's transformational to be in a space where you feel a sense of, yeah, what you say and what you're actually contributing actually matters. And you can see some of the ways in which this impact of what you're doing is actually transforming the cultures and the spaces that you're in. So yeah, our space, our voice really, really speaks to me. But also the other, the U.S., is it the U.S. part?
Yeah, the U.S. theme.
Yeah, U.S. theme, and which is again?
Black resistance.
Black resistance, wow. I think many of the things that we've seen, particularly with the agitation that I'm talking about in terms of, social justice groups, we've clearly seen a lot of resistance in terms of people not wanting the status quo anymore. There is a clearing call for a sea change in terms of how we're doing things, that historically how we've had things work hasn't benefited everybody equally, and that needs to change. And I'm proud to identify as a Black person and to be part of that, collective that is actually amplifying those voices to say we need to be doing differently and doing better. One thing that I will say though, because I'm seeing it, and I want us as a collective, as a community to begin to also address this, is that within our own spaces, affinity groups, where we are talking about what transformation means on a cultural level, on a system level, and who gets to be part of that, conversation. What I'm seeing is more of an insular kind of a focus within those entity groups, and I can see that being very problematic going forward in terms of how we are potentially also being exclusionary in our attempt to be inclusionary, right? So I would caution us to be mindful of that, we're actually not alienating people who don't necessarily share our perspective, but they still have something to contribute to the conversation, and how we can actually bring those people in as being part of finding solutions to some of the challenges that we're facing in our world.
I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me, because it's a very deep topic we've talked about. The Black experience is one that is not a monolith, especially when we have so many intersectionalities in it. If there's one thing you wanted to leave our audience with, what would it be?
We are all part of this effort to create a society where everybody feels a sense of inclusion and everyone feels a sense of belonging. And I think it's really incumbent upon all of us to do the best that we can and to create the kind of society and environment that we all want to be part of.
I want to thank you so much for taking your time to join me today. I know you have a very busy schedule and probably have to get back to university.
No
so
worries.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you very much for having me.
And we'll be right back, everybody. Welcome back, everyone. I'm now joined by Pearl Ashibuogwu, who is the owner and operator of Capearla Beauty Parlor. Pearl, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me today.
So before we get into all the amazing things that you do and who you are as an individual, I have to let the viewers know that I look this good and this put together because of this lovely woman over here. So let's tell them how I look this good and this put together. So what is Capearla?
So Capearla is a beauty store, pretty much. It's, first of all, it's an online beauty and an in-house salon. So it's pretty much, Capearla was brought up because I wanted to kind of create a diversity in Newfoundland. Coming to Newfoundland as a Black person, it was so hard to get anyone to do my hair. Like, I couldn't find anyone to do my hair, and the person that was doing hair here was always booked up like weeks in advance, months in advance. And one thing about our natural hair is that it gets really dry. The weather really damages the hair. So we need to put it in some sort of protective style. So that's where Capearla was born.
Okay. Yeah. So I found you in 2015, we will say. And is that when Capearla started for you?
Pretty much. First of all, it wasn't called Capearla then. I was using like my name and maybe like hair studio, Pearl's hair studio. But as I was advancing over the years, the business was growing. I decided to change the name and make it a whole new brand. And not only that, also include a lot of services apart from just catering to just black hair.
Okay, so what are the services included under your brand?
So Capearla is not only just a protective style brand or just an online store. One thing we're really, really known for in the industry is our wigs. We have 100% human hair wigs, and that has made us really famous in the industry. We've had ladies come from everywhere, pretty much in the world. We've shipped wigs everywhere in the world. So our wigs range from medical wigs to hair loss wigs. We have designer wigs. We've had like celebrity worn our wigs. So yeah, that's Capearla.
So as a business owner operating in Newfoundland and Labrador, who is a black woman, what has that experience been like for you?
It's been amazing actually, because it's been like something that is not really seen here, especially in the beauty industry. It's really hard to find black women in the beauty industry here in Newfoundland. So I'm hoping that this is going to create some doors, open some windows to this opportunity for us to come out, show our skills, because trust me, we are so highly talented. It's crazy.
That's so cool. So I know you do a lot when it comes to the beauty industry and working within it. Has it been well received by non-black folks in the beauty industry? How are you finding your customer base, and what is that like for you?
In Newfoundland, it's amazing, because apart from just doing like the black afro hair, my hands have touched every hair type. Like I've touched a Caucasian hair type, silky hair. I've touched a 3C, that's the curly curls hair.
Yeah.
I've touched every hair type. So I find like a lot of people love to see that there's someone that is out there that they could go to, that they could trust with their hair. And they know that when they come out, they're looking like slayed.
And put together. So as a business operator, I know that you started this when you were in university, right? So that's what this was, a passion project for you. As it's grown, what are some things that you've learned that you didn't expect you would encounter?
The first thing is when it comes to like with the business, registering the business as a student, you don't really know anything at that point. You don't know where to get your customer base. You don't even know how to start from. But gradually processing my steps from being a student till now, it's helped me in finding more people, talking to people. They've really opened up my eyes to a lot of opportunities that I never knew existed. But yeah, that's pretty much how it's been so far.
Okay. So I want to touch a little bit, because this is Black History Month, so I'm using my platform here to elevate Black voices and Black experiences. Sure. As a Black business owner, are there things that you have experienced that you weren't prepared for?
Yes, as a Black person, it's quite hard, because especially as a student and also as an immigrant, it's been a bit difficult, especially with getting capital to run the business. With that one, it's pretty much almost like impossible to get it as a Black person to compared to someone who's been living here for so long and who has, the required papers and everything. So with that, you have to pretty much go into the work industry, work for a certain company, gather your savings from there. Then that's pretty much how you start your business.
Okay.
So that's how I started mine as, as a business owner. So I pretty much went to work for somebody, gained my savings, and opened my business.
Okay. So we're in the middle of Black History Month. And there are two themes for Black History Month this year. A Canadian theme is Our Time, Our Stories.
Okay.
And the American theme is Black Resistance, which is the ability to fight against systems of oppression. Is there any of them that you feel in your heart is like, yep, this is my experience, this is something that resonates within me?
Yes, the Black Resistance.
Okay.
I find like that is a very broad topic, especially being a Black business owner in the beauty industry. It's a bit difficult. I've gotten a lot of, especially selling wigs as well, because most of my clients either come from, they have like hair loss or some sort of situation. So I've even gotten bashed on, like people calling me names, and it's hard, but there's nothing literally I could do. So yes, that is something that needs to be looked into. And also, not every black person is bad because everyone pretty much assumes that, because I sell this particular product, they might not receive it the same way just because I'm black. And it's hurtful sometimes. So people literally told me that, I didn't know your company was a black company. So at that point in time, there's, little to nothing I could do because it's also an online business. And not only that, even within town, there are some certain people that, apart from making the braids, making protective style, like I said, I have my customers, like Caucasian customers, and, sometimes they might not be okay with coming to me, making their hair for them because they don't know how I would do it because I'm black. So yeah, that's something I get to.
How have you worked past those experiences?
Literally, there's nothing much you could really do about it. My advice is pretty much to try and educate them as much as possible, because I find like if you have a knowledge of something and they find like, okay, she knows what she's talking about, they will trust you well. I find like most of these comments, most of these hidden words is more just ignorance. So most of them don't have this education about black history, black anything. So they just pretty much talk based on what they see or what they hear. But I've seen, sometimes I literally reply to them like, okay, this is how it is, this is what it should be. And sometimes they hear, sometimes they don't. And if they don't listen, I block them. That's all.
Well, preserving your mental health and self-care is paramount in any business operation.
There you go.
How have you found building a community within the beauty space for yourself?
Here in Newfoundland, it's really been amazing. One thing I find here in Newfoundland is community matters. Just making hair for one person and the person going to tell their friends pretty much brings you customers.
Yes.
So that is a community right there.
Yeah.
So that is pretty much growing my clientele. And the good thing is that at least since I've started my business here, I've gotten really good positive views. Most of my clients, when they come to my house, they literally chill, we watch Netflix, we talk a lot. I know you know that.
No, I can attest to that.
Exactly. So that's pretty much how it's been. So I find like having that friendly environment, being who you are, just being yourself, being honest, really, really matters in helping build a really good community for yourself.
So before I leave you, I wanted to ask you two last questions. If people were interested in shopping at your store or availing of your services, how do people reach you?
So every of my services actually on social media. I'm 100% online, but I do have an in-house salon. So people can go on my website at capearlabeautyparlor.com, or they could also reach me on my Instagram page at Capearla, or they could send me an email at info@capearla.com. So, there's pretty much just type Capearla, you find me anywhere.
Well, that's good to know you're easily accessible.
Yes.
And if you wanted to leave our viewers with one last parting information about you, your business, or about Black History Month, what would it want to be?
One thing I would love to leave is if you have passion for something, do it. Don't wait. Don't give up. My business started with passion. I had passion for hair. I love making hair. My hands are always itching to touch someone's hair. So that's what I would leave for you. If you have passion, do it. If you have a dream, do it. Go for it. It's not going to be an easy road, but it's going to be worth it. And you would notice that at every process, you would keep growing. You would meet people, amazing people, and you don't know, one of these people might help you down the line. So that's my advice for you today.
I want to thank you for, one, not only joining me on this couch to talk about Capearla, your business, and your life here, but making me look as good as you do regularly. It's been an absolute pleasure sharing the time with you.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back, everyone. want to say a very special thank you to my guests for joining me today. It was really important and insightful to talk about the intersectionalities of the Black experience, especially for queer Black folks within Newfoundland and Labrador, and to also take a look at what Black beauty looks like within our province and the services currently available to Black women and Black gender diverse individuals as well within our province. I hope you guys got to learn as much as I did this episode, and we will see you guys again soon.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media.
When an impaired driver killed my brother DJ, some people used the A word. They called it an accident, but it wasn't. An accident